Hi there guys and welcome back to episode 15 of the Pints and Pundits podcast. As usual, I'm joined by producer Pav and in today's episode we're going to be looking at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's performance as manager so far with an in-depth analysis. We're going to be previewing the Manchester United versus Arsenal game on Monday, as well as taking on the viewers' questions. Let's go. Pav, welcome back. Obviously, episode 15.
Cheers.
Big cheers. Also, worth mentioning as well to the viewers, we've reached the 10k subscriber
10K,
mark.
man, yeah, we're there.
On the YouTube channel. So, obviously, a big thank you and a big shout out to all of you guys who have been supporting the work we've been doing. We have been working tirelessly. Pav's been putting a lot of the great content together and we've been delivering it as a team. So thank you to all of you guys for joining us on this journey. But looking ahead into today's podcast, a lot to get through. We're going to go into depth with it as well. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer performance as manager of Manchester United so far. Obviously, there's a bit of a split now, obviously appearing between the fans. Before I go into his statistics, is he the right man for United? I know we've spoke so much about it over the last couple of months, really.
In today's current situation right now, where we are right now, and the situation that he is currently there and all that's been and gone, I believe he is. There are contradictive opinions out there that say he was never the man in the first place. He's not got the credentials, but we're in a situation right now where he's got a contract. He spent money. He's been backed to an extent by the board. So we're going to go into it. I mean, should we roll through the statistics so far?
I'm going to bring them up. So, look, last season, he played 29 games, won 16 of them, lost 9 and drew 4. This season so far, we've played 7. He's only won 3 of those, lost 2 and drawn 2, where people would have been a bit surprised at that, thinking we would have won a few more, being so early into the season. Overall, looking at his performance, he's played 36 games, won 19, lost 11, drawn 6. From first game in charge, it was in December 22nd to the current current kind of standing. We know obviously this isn't including the Rochdale game. This is pre-recorded before that, as we must mention. But it's as though when you look at it collectively, it doesn't sound as bad. But when you look at the last 20 games, it looks very bad because he had such a good start.
Such a positive start, and then it
where Ollie was at the wheel at that time.
Yeah, he was at the wheel and he was driving it, man. But after that PSG was the last away win, wasn't it?
And when you actually forget a statistic
back in
like that.
March 6th, we played that game.
And I heard someone say it when we were down at the London Stadium on Sunday for the game against West Ham, which we lost. And someone mentioned that statistic, and you think, wow, that seems like a long time ago.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
And then you got to think about the games which were a bit shocking to lose points on. I mean, there was the Wolves twice we played them last season. That was a bit of a shock to lose both. The Everton 4-0 was a big one. We were down at Huddersfield at 1-0. Obviously, that Cardiff 2-0 loss on the end of the season was... and
we saw the Cardiff game, last game of the season, nothing really to play for as such. I can't remember the top... I think top 4 had already gone by then.
Yeah, it was all done,
already done and dusted. But the reaction from the fans, from the manner in which we played that game, losing 2-0 to already relegate... Well, the last 2 games were both against relegated clubs, and we couldn't even... kind of mustered a win.
Absolutely, and then this season so far, I mean, obviously losses to West Ham and Crystal Palace at home, but I mean that's what's got the fans up against Ollie right now, where there is a bit of a split in the fan base as to whether he's the right man. I mean, for myself, there's 2 ways of looking at this, Peaky. You can look at it as in really going into it and say, look, here's a form, this is what's happened. Look at the last 20 games, or you can look at it and say, we're 6-7 games into the season now. We need to step back and think, okay, this is a season project. It's a 2-season project. Can't just give them a window and say we're expecting top 4. You need to look at it and think it's a rebuild. Everything in the past hasn't worked. Moyes didn't work. LVG didn't work. Mourinho didn't work. Big name signings didn't work. There's a bit of a change in direction with the young British talent, and maybe we saw in pre-season we did see a bit of an identity with the pressing tactic, but man, it just seems that there's a big split in the camps right now.
What it was, on my kind of opinion on Ollie coming in as manager at the time, I'm not going to sit here and change tune, which I know a lot of United fans have, because they're the same fans I spoke to at the time when things were going so well. I was Ollie in emotions and whatever else.
90% of the fan base was, because we went from such a bad
sorry
atmosphere
state.
and Ollie picked everyone up, and we just went on that winning run, and that PSG away game, man. It was special.
Some people say, obviously the contract was handed too early. They should have waited till the end of the season, so he kept that hunger within his team. Some people said United players never really recovered from that PSG game when we're on this kind of honeymoon period after it, because it was such a fantastic result. But looking at the overall picture, like you just said, we brought in David Moyes was brought in. Sir Alex Ferguson's choice didn't quite happen for him. You had LVG come in, who's a tournament manager for me. He had Jose come in, who at the time United fans were desperate to get in because he was a proven, experienced manager at League.
I thought he was going to be the guy, man.
Everyone thought he was, and it didn't work out for him. So when Ollie came in, you got to buy into a project. We can't keep chopping and changing every season. We have to buy into a program or a project and stick with it. Look, things aren't good at the moment. I'm not promising they will come good, but I think we've got to ride it out now and give him a fair crack of the whip. He's had one transfer window. He's brought in 3 young, good, strong British talent players within that. Got rid of the Deadwood we're going to go on to a little bit later in this.
If you could, obviously, we don't want to kind of actively criticise Ollie because it's a learning curve for him as well as a manager. But if you had to look at what he's done so far, let's say this season, what would you look at him and criticise?
I would definitely criticise him on the style of play, because I made a point of that in pre-season or towards the end of last season, that we didn't know what our kind of style of play was. We watched all the games through pre-season. We thought it was there. I thought it was there, man. Pressing style.
It was like a mimic of Man City, Liverpool style of play, where we're high press, energetic.
From the word go, wasn't it?
Just even from the Chelsea game, didn't really see that, and then not from any other games.
It's as though, kind of, as soon as it came to games that meant something, whether when the season started or cup games, it's kind of as though a bit of a negative barrier come up, and all of a sudden we're starting to stand off players. I think Roy Keane made the point on Sky Sports after the game against West Ham on Sunday that United players were just standing off the opposition. Where in pre-season all we saw them do was win the ball back. Most percentage of that ball that we won back throughout all the games in pre-season, I think, was in our attacking third, because we were getting so high up, pressing players, and they weren't comfortable on the ball. But we've not, like you said, we're not really seeing that in the league. I saw a stat I just wanted to read through as well. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has won 48 points from his 27 league games as Manchester United manager so far. So that's 14 wins, 6 draws, 7 losses. The exact same record and points tally that Jose Mourinho oversaw in his final 27 Premier League games in charge of the club. So there's no progression as such. The only thing you could say we've progressed in is maybe the squad overall. I'm not saying we're playing better. Results clearly aren't better. But I think the overall look of the squad is a bit better, and something surely that we can work towards improving.
It's a case of we're going to have to take a step back to take 2 forward.
Yeah, agreed.
In this case, it might have to be a couple steps back and just wait there for a season and then move forward. Because look, we have got rid of the Deadwood. Lukaku's out, Sanchez out, Fellaini, Herrera, maybe not Deadwood, but they're out the club. Smalling, Darmian, I'm sure more will go maybe in January. Rojo looked like he was looking for that deadline day finish. And then I think more will be shipped out in the summer. You can't get them all out in one window.
No.
But look, there's definitely a plan in place.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we can kind of affirmatively say. The plan is get rid of players who don't want to be there, albeit Pogba is one we've got to try and keep.
Yeah.
Buy young British talent because they know what it means to play for the club, and then less likely to then make a name at Man United and try and get a move to the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, etc. So we've done that in Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Daniel James. We've got the Deadwood out. We've got a very young starting team, average age around about 25, I think, very, very young in the Premier League. And I think the startings and the beginnings of a project are there. We just need to be patient and see it through, because we're strikers short, we're midfielders short, we're injury ridden at the moment, and we're fresh off a loss to West Ham, and the football we're playing isn't great. The goals just aren't there. We're not creating attacking chances, but I think it will come. Patience is the key one here.
Pav, another kind of opening up another can of worms here. You mentioned there about we're signing young British players, and that seems to be the model or the fit of a player's profile that Ollie's looking for. Is that potentially an issue? And I don't mean any disregard to any of the young British players who are out there, but do we need, because the Premier League has changed as a league in terms of the style of play that teams are playing, do we not necessarily then need more players who are coming in from Europe who have played in or been brought up more technically, like Spanish? It might be Spanish players, it might be Portuguese players. We know Fernandes was somebody who was strongly linked with United. Because at the minute, what seems for me is that we're a little bit rigid in attacking positions, and being an ex-professional player myself and coming through the coaching system and doing my coaching badges, one thing I identify, which people don't often look at, is the FA have never had their own kind of blueprint for how they're going to coach players from a young age. We've always, in 98, France won the World Cup, so it was a case of, right, how are they coaching the kids in France? We've got to replicate that model. When Spain had their great kind of years of dominating, European and world football with the fantastic team they had, all of a sudden it was the FA changing the syllabus to the Spanish style of play.
Yeah.
When I look at England as a setup, I think Raheem Sterling now is the one who's world class out of that, where his game's developed, and I think that comes from working under somebody like Pep. But if I look at United, we've got Jesse Lingard, we've got Rashford in there, who for me are very rigid, and their football understanding or their runs aren't too intelligent. I think they could do with a lot of work. Do you think maybe we need to branch out, and whether that's players or an assistant to Ollie, maybe a European style where it's a bit more tactical, a bit more technical as well?
Possibly. I mean, obviously, when Carlos Queiroz came into the club, that Fergie kind of labelled that as a big thing because he brought a lot of knowledge and different style of play to the game, which obviously helped us, go on and in our glory years. Possibly Peaky. I mean, I think there definitely is room for that. I think right now for the first 2 years, it's all about stability and getting the marginal gains up, slowly improving, getting better. The thing for myself with Ollie, which I look at him and a little bit of question mark is he trying to instill his own philosophy, or is he trying to mimic what Sir Alex Ferguson had? Because look, what Fergie done for us was absolutely fantastic, best ever manager to ever do it in the game. Father of the club, all of that sort of stuff. But like you said, the game's changed. Might be an unpopular opinion, but if Fergie was manager of Manchester United today with Pep and Klopp in the equation, I don't think we'd be top of the table every season. We might struggle.
No, I completely agree with what you're saying, because I think that era where Sir Alex Ferguson had that success, it was more his man management, which was the strong point, and grinding out results. But how tactically astute was he, if you like, to the likes of someone like Pep or Klopp, who I imagine pay a lot of attention to the intricate details in their squads. Yeah. And you see that a lot through the way Pep and Klopp both talk in their kind of pre- and post-match analysis or press conferences, if you like. What do you think Ollie's style? Do you think he has his own style of play?
I think the way he sees his team and Manchester United being is that attacking force, kind of no holds barred, high, young, energetic, shots on goal, whipping the ball, and that kind of that whole ethos that has been at the club. But I don't think you can just use your experience of playing under Fergie and having his ideals and saying that's what we're going to do. It needs to be a little bit different. Obviously, Klopp's got his own style. Pep's got his own style. Like, how much stick did Pep get for passing from the back in his first season? He got absolutely ridiculed, and
but they stuck to it.
And it happens. So we have to go for a phase of where Ollie is putting a style of play together that can rival the likes of Pep and Klopp. I don't think it's going to. I think we're going to have to wait till Pep and Klopp are out of the equation, or their squad's kind of thinned out a bit, until we can really go again for the title. But in the meantime, when we're fighting against the likes of Rodgers' Leicester, Emery's Arsenal, Frank's Lampard's Chelsea, we've got to be on that level where we've teams come to us, we go to a team, and they know the way we're going to play, and it's whether they can shut us down or not.
Look, while we've been talking a little bit about kind of tactics and what Ollie's style of play is, let's talk a bit more in depth about kind of the substitutions he is or isn't making. His starting 11 he's been fielding. Obviously, we've seen Matic start, I think, 3 games on the bounce. Would it be including the Rochdale game?
Yeah, I think,
Firstly, just talk about his kind of substitutions, because that's come under scrutiny from a lot of fans saying he takes too long to react in games. What's your kind of feeling? Because we've been at games on the terraces watching. How has it frustrated you to, that we could potentially see a change and he's not doing it?
Yeah, there's been a few where I think Gomez should have been brought on earlier.
Yeah.
Greenwood should have been on the pitch early and getting minutes. Like I said, Matic starting.
Inclusion of Rashford against Astana.
Yeah, Rashford didn't need to start. Obviously, saw him then get injured against West Ham. Fred, I believe, should have started against West Ham.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's also kind of stories behind the scenes saying, he's been doing double training sessions with all the players, getting their fitness up. Those double training sessions have then led to injuries.
Because already
many
on a squad that wasn't or didn't have as much quality or experience, should we say, that we would like, already we were only coming up to the end of September. We've seen key players, Martial, Rashford, Shaw, Pogba, all kind of suffer injuries. Also starting 11 selection, you touched on it a little bit there, Matic starting. Has some of it been down to maybe, obviously, the injury, so he's had no choice but to kind of play these players? Or
Yeah, and also, he's only able to secure 3 players in the window, where he probably did want more. So whether that's the board not backing him, or his choice to not opt for players which were on offer. One thing I want to ask you, Peaky, is that at what point do you think we can judge Ollie? What point do we then put the marker down and say, you're either doing your job or you're not doing your job?
I think beginning at this time next season. I think because that's then allowed him 2 full summer transfer windows, a January transfer window where I don't expect too many big signings or too much to happen. I think it's the summer ones where it's going to be. But I think this summer he's got 3 key players in positions that needed to be strengthened: right back, centre back, and obviously your winger. I think maybe next summer he potentially looks at a centre midfielder and potentially a striker. Then I think he's got the main core of a team. He's going to have kept hold of De Gea if he can keep hold of Pogba. Then I think we can. I've lowered my level of expectation. I said 6th, and I stand by that. I don't even think we'll get 6th now, but I'll stay with that for now. That start the season, say we'll finish 6th. I have no expectation going into this season. And I think maybe that might be the message to a lot of United fans. Just whatever this season is meant to be, let it be, ride it out. Next season, after he's had 2 transfer windows, this January, next summer, then I think we can start judging him to say, right, Ollie, you've had enough time to put your squad together now, clear out players you don't want, and you've had a full season now to kind of... Because the other thing is, these players have been drilled into them to play LVG style, Mourinho style. It's been drilled into them day in, day out, so it's hard for them just to switch that off and go and play a completely style of football. It takes a bit of time for them to kind of come out of that and understand Ollie's ways, so it comes as second nature. So a full season, I think, is enough. How about yourself? What do you think is a timescale?
I'd probably agree. I think that this time next season, I'm not expecting wonders next season. I'm probably expecting a top 4 finish. But look, I mean, like I said, it's a process. We need to be patient with him. We need to give him time, let him build, and along the way we are going to have results like a 2-0 West Ham, but then again I think we're going to have results where, like, we beat Chelsea 4-0. I think we might when Arsenal come to Old Trafford, I think we might beat them and turn them over. When Liverpool come, or we go away to Liverpool, we might beat them. It's going to be very topsy-turvy. I think it's going to be quite inconsistent. Hopefully towards the back end of the season we can get a bit more consistent with the results and the playing style, but I think it's going to be one of them where every game's just going to come and it's going to be different every game.
We don't know what to expect.
It's going to be a bit of a roller coaster. But look, man, I'm Ollie in all day. Got to back him. We've got to give him time. Even if a manager like a Pochettino comes available, let's say Christmas time, I'd rather just stick with Ollie. Because if we go into another manager now, it's pretty much back to square one. And we don't want to be... Just build a project now, man. Do you know what I mean?
Like that. So, Pav, obviously you mentioned the Arsenal game. We see United playing them on Monday evening.
Mate. The big one, yeah.
I'll let you roll into this one.
Yeah, it's one of them, man. It's for so many years we were kind of battling with them for that top spot. Back and forth. Fergie, Wenger, Vieira, Keane.
Some big personalities from managers to players.
Yeah, man. It was probably some of the best years of football that you'll ever see.
Yeah.
But now, kind of, times have changed. That those 2 spots are now taken up by City and Liverpool.
The 2 worst teams, let's be honest, for United to fill in that position.
But now we're battling for a 4th spot with them. So it's going to be an interesting one because they're so good in attack.
Yeah.
The trio that they've got and the kind of backup players towards that. Whereas I was going to say we're good, we're quite solid at defence, but recently we're not. It's going to be an interesting one. I mean, are you looking at this as a not must win, but must not lose? You can't really lose against them, can we?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because if we, like you just said, if we go and lose this game, then I know we've just discussed Ollie needs time, but the Ollie Brigade out will be out in full voice because that's another defeat, second one on the bounce. And then also then people start comparing to how far we are off from a team like Arsenal, who are in a kind of similar position to us. But I honestly believe this season we're going to see ups and downs, but we're going to probably perform better in the bigger games and stumble and drop points against the teams we find it hard to break down.
I think it's going to be one of those games where I think players are going to turn up for this.
Yeah.
I think Pogba's going to turn up. Martial, touch wood, I hope he starts.
If Rashford's back.
Yeah, Rashford may be back. look, they might be good in attack, but I think everyone needs to remember we've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka right back. Do you know what I mean? So it's going to be whether it's Pepe attacking down that wing, Lacazette, Aubameyang, they're going to have a tough day at the office against Maguire and Wan-Bissaka. So I mean, we've got attack of our own. We've got Dan James who's lightning quick. Defensively, they've been absolutely poor. I mean, against Villa, they were shocking. They done well in the second half to come back from that with 10 men, but this whole season they've been pretty poor. But yeah, defensively they can be got at. It's just a matter of, are we going to turn up? But if we do bounce back with a win against Arsenal, it does lift everything up a little bit going towards then Newcastle the week after.
The thing is like even on the weekend, the result to West Ham, if we won that game, we sit up in third, and then you kind of look at it and think, okay, performances haven't been that great, but we're still third. We're doing well. Like you said, I don't think we can really afford to lose on Monday night, because I think that then brings the pressure back on. It's just my main concern has been and will be going into games is our attacking threat, that creative spark. Does it mean Fred plays alongside McTominay? Is that 2 and Pogba pushes on to be the number 10 man? Because I don't believe anyone who's played in that position so far this season has
really done it,
had any quality. Jesse Lingard, everyone spoke about him being that number 10 or that link man. His stats speak for themselves. As a number 10, you've got to be creating or chipping in with goals. He's doing neither. So Mata's come in and done it, but he can't do it every game. Technically, yes, he's good, but he kind of slows the game down too much. And that's just because of his age and his legs are gone a bit. I personally think we should take a bit of a risk now with Ollie and either put Gomez in there or Pogba in there to be that link man. We saw Gomez against Astana. He's got something. He's got a bit of a spark about him.
We'll see more against Rochdale as well.
Yeah, I think we definitely see him playing, hopefully, the full game. But I think for the bigger Premier League games at this moment in time, I would chuck Paul Pogba in that number 10 role. We saw his performances when he played that position when Ollie first come in.
And plus, a win against Arsenal would put a bit more respect on our name.
I think so.
Obviously, we beat Leicester, which was a good win. It wasn't the best. I mean, we shut them down, but we didn't really do much apart from that. But still respectable in the grand scheme. They just turned over Spurs.
Yeah.
Obviously, going away to West Ham and losing wasn't the best thing to happen to us. But if we come back and have a strong, resolute 3 points over Arsenal, teams are going to look at us and think, okay, there's a potential of us beating them, but they've also turned over some big sides.
I think the thing is, you know what it is, Pav, as well. We mentioned as well, if we go Alkmaar next week away in the Europa League, then we've got Newcastle and then Liverpool to come in the league. So if we were to lose this one against Arsenal, confidence is down.
You're away to St James's Park, then
Tough
you're away
place.
to Alkmaar, and then you've got Liverpool coming to Old Trafford. There's an international break in between that, but still, I mean, there's a good chance those 3 games could be points dropped in every single one.
100%. They're big game. In my opinion, they're big games. Arsenal's always going to be a big game. Going to St James's Park can either go one of 2 ways. We've seen it in the past where we've wiped the floor with them or we've struggled. And obviously Liverpool at home is always going to be a big game where they're going to be looking to come and do a number on us.
What's your early predictions for the Arsenal game then?
My early predictions, you know what, I'm kind of in view of what you said. We're going to be up for it. I think the players well. I'm going for 2-0 United. 2-0. I think we'll win these sort of games. I'm going for 2-0. How about yourself?
I agree. I think these are the sort of games we're going to come out on top.
Yeah.
Just from what we saw last season as well against the big sides. I think it's going to be tight. I don't think there's going to be many goals. I think it'll be quite a kind of scrappy game. I'm going 1-0 United.
But still 3 points, which is interesting.
Hope so, yeah, I do.
Interesting.
Hope so.
Look, this part of the show, before we go into it, a big thank you to all of you guys for sending in your viewers' questions. If you guys want to send in any questions you would like to feature on the podcast, you can send them in to us on any of the socials, so at Pav United, at Peaky Pundit, or just comment on the section of this if you're watching it on YouTube, and we'll pick the comments up, the questions you've got, and we'll add them as always and include as many as we can. But going into it today, I'm behind you sends this one in on Instagram. He says, why is Rashford on quadruple the salary of Abraham from Chelsea? Is he really any better? Pav, you first.
Quadruple the salary. Obviously gave him that bumper deal.
Big deal.
Everyone's hyping up Abraham. Look, he's done pretty well at Chelsea so far.
Yep.
Obviously he was, he was out on loan and with Aston Villa last season, and he's been tipped to be a good striker for a while now. Is he better? Time's going to tell this season. I mean, I think Abraham's about 5 or 6 goals away from Rashford's best ever total.
Yeah.
In a season. So we'll see. I mean, right now I think Rashford's a better player, but I mean, end of the season will give a better indication as to who is.
I think also United. I think Rashford's a bit lucky in the sense that we've not paid a fee for him. He's come through the youth system, so the board don't feel any pressure to him maybe to perform as highly as if he was a 50, 60, 70 million pound signing. He's bought himself time. The big deal was there to show the club's faith in him, but he definitely has to step it up because he has been poor in the last few games. Thanks for sending that one in. Zane Jordan with the next question says, do you think Pogba will sign a new contract with Manchester United?
I'm not sure.
Why would you want to go Madrid though?
This is why I'm not sure, because I mean, I thought it would have been bang on from start of the summer or start of the season. Like, look, he's going to give us one more season.
Yeah.
But look at the crap that's happening at Madrid. They're not performing great, and who knows, man? They might have said to him, look, like it's a rebuild project. We've got Maddison to come. We've got Sancho to come.
Yeah.
Hang around and be part of it, and maybe he will, maybe he won't. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
I think if January we bring in Maddison or Sancho, then next summer, early on, we show our intent by signing a couple of other boys. I think then Pogba looks around him and thinks, okay, I like the feel of this team now. It's got some youth. It's got that energy injected back into it with quality signings as well. So
I don't think we'll sign them in Jan. Maybe get pre-contract agreements ready for the summer to come.
For the summer. This one's sent in from Ashtosh, who says, why is Ollie not trying out the same 4-3-3 formation which got him the success during his arrival as interim manager? Even though he wants to play out from the back and control the game using 4-2-3-1, it seems the team relies on counter-attack, for which the 4-3-3 was best in my opinion. Over to you, Pav.
Yeah, I mean, it is strange he's not using the formula that got him the job. But I think the 4-2-3 when he's setting up, we'll say defensively, so not defensively, but to be strong at the back.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've not been strong at the back recently.
See, with the 4-3-3, I used to play in this system, and obviously, albeit it was lower league, but it was 4-5-1 when we were defending, so we were compact, and we would try and outnumber the opposition in midfield, and then as soon as the play would kind of switch and we had possession, it would quickly revert to a 4-3-3.
Yeah.
Obviously, these guys are playing in the Premier League and European stage, so they're a lot more intelligent, if you like, than we were at lower league level. But I agree. I think why not go for a 4-3-3 when we're attacking?
It's definitely worth trialling out as a plan B.
Because a lot of fans are saying the formations, like the players maybe don't suit the formation we've gone for this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think it all depends on where he wants Pogba. If he wants Pogba in that quarterback role, then it's probably a 4-2-3-1. Or if he wants Pogba higher up, then it's probably a 4-3-3. So Ollie's going to have to think about that.
And he might have to change it if results aren't going his way.
Absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, we will see that 4-3-3 out at some point during the season.
At some point. Thank you very much for sending that one in. The last of the viewers' questions for today's podcast. CT Clark Carr says, what would it take for Peaky and Pav to be Ollie out? Do you think we will panic buy in January? What will it take for United to employ a director of football?
He's got 3 questions in there, hasn't he?
Yeah, mate, that's value for money there, I tell you.
All right, I'll answer all 3, then I'll kind of give you your go. What would it take for us to be Ollie out? It would probably have to be maybe like a relegation style. If we're in a relegation battle,
like now.
I mean, if we're sitting like 16th, 17th in like 2 months' time, then I might
have to question it.
I might have to say maybe it's worth somebody else coming in. But I mean, even if we were like 11th or 12th, I'd still back it and just say just give it time. Second bit of this question: will we panic buy in January? I don't know. I don't think we'll panic buy. I think we'll put indicators out there for players.
Yeah.
Third question: what will it take for United to employ DOF? I don't think we will, to be honest. I mean, after Woodward's kind of comments as well recently, I just don't see it happening.
Okay, what it would take for us to be Ollie out? I agree with Pav there. I think we've both lowered our expectation level this season. Of course, if it got to us finishing in the bottom half of the table, it would be a concern. But I'd still probably say just stick with it and ride it out. How it's got bad, but you're not going to salvage a season at Christmas too much. We'll get Champions League football. Why would we want to get Champions League football at the minute? The squad's not ready. So in my opinion, I'm backing him wherever we finish this season in the league, whatever the form is. I want to. Then next season, I will be all guns out and blazing if I don't think he's performing. Do you think we will panic buy in January? As Pav said, I don't think we will. I think the club have changed their kind of protocol, if you like, of how we're going to sign players. It's not panic buy. I think the manager will identify players who he sees fit his system. What will it take for United to employ a director of football? maybe Ed Woodward not being the CEO. I think while he's there, I think whoever the job is offered to knows they're just there as a shield to take the flak, basically, when things go wrong for Ed Woodward. They're not really going to have full control. So until Ed Woodward is not the CEO of the football club, only then you will see a proper director of football come in. Ultimately, the director of football's role is to come in, and whether the manager changes or not, he knows what is happening at the football club, the signings that are made to fit the style of play or whatever else like that. Until someone's been given free rein, I can't see anyone coming in. But thanks again, once again, for all of the questions, some really good ones in there today. It is that part of the show. I hate this part of the show. I hand over to Pav for the interactive session. He's about a million ahead of me at the minute. It's not good. My football knowledge. I gave
him a clue earlier in the day. I said this is what the topic's on, just to help him out a little bit. So.
My excuse already is I was looking after my little one.
So we'll see. So today's interactive trivia, we'll call it, is kind of staying with the topic of United Arsenal.
Yep.
So it's a little. Got 4 questions on previous memorable Arsenal Man United games.
Go easy.
Okay.
Go easy, Pav.
So the first one.
Yes.
The famous tunnel incident between Keane and Vieira at Highbury.
Yeah.
That particular game.
Yeah.
What was the score?
Oh, mate. John O'Shea scored that one where he went. It was 2-1 United.
Fuck it.
Am I off to a flyer? No, don't tell me.
It's 4-2 United, mate.
I knew it was close. John O'Shea scored that ding, didn't he?
Vieira opened up.
Sake.
Giggsy equalised. Then Bergkamp got 2-1 up.
Ronaldo
got the brace.
Yeah.
And O'Shea got the chips to finish off.
I got too excited because I thought I should get half a point for that.
No. So the FA Cup semi-final.
Yeah.
Giggs' famous goal.
Yeah.
Obviously finished 2-1 to United. The Bergkamp penalty that was saved.
Yeah.
Which way did he go?
To the keeper's view or
Bergkamp's view?
Bergkamp's right.
Correct.
Yeah,
he went right.
See that? I'm a 90s boy. I'm a 90s boy.
So the 8-2 demolition at Old Trafford.
I was there that day.
Well, yeah.
I was there that
day.
day.
You should know this one.
I should do. I was there.
Then we all 8 scored. No.
Mate.
Which player got a hat-trick that day?
Mate.
A lot of goals.
Yeah, there was. I'm going to get confused. I know Ashley Young scored that belting free kick. I'm going to go with... Oh, fuck's sake. 8-2. Was it Rooney?
Yeah.
It was Rooney.
Yeah, so scorers kicked off with Welbeck,
Yeah.
Young, Rooney, and Walcott got one back.
Yeah.
Rooney again, Nani, Park, RVP got one back for Arsenal, Rooney, and then Young.
Again. It's the first time I've been leading in this game for a while. Last one. I can't lose this week, can I?
It'd just be a draw, wouldn't it, if you get this one wrong.
Settle for a draw.
So the game we ended Arsenal's unbeaten run at 49 matches.
Oh, shit.
What season was it? What year?
Mate, this is a stab in the dark. This is the period of my life where football was just mismatch. The year after the Invincibles.
Remember the game? Who scored?
Was it at Old Trafford? I can't even remember the game.
Nistelrooy scored. Rooney scored.
2006.
04-05.
Oh man,
that memorable Van Nistelrooy penalty. Then he kind of redeemed himself and he had a proper passionate celebration. Yeah.
Because was that the year after the whole pizza incident?
Yeah.
With the whole tunnel buster. Well, United on when Nistelrooy missed that penalty.
And that was the whole.
Brilliant. Well, listen, glad to say I did not lose this week. Confidence is back up. I'm coming back into the game. Guys, we hope you have enjoyed episode 15 of the Pints and Pundits podcast. As always, it's been a pleasure sitting here with Pav and giving you our opinions. But don't forget, this is a platform for you guys as well. So if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you jump in with the comment section. If you're listening to this on one of the podcast platforms, don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well and give us a little review on the podcast. And if you're enjoying it, before we do sign out, big shout out to good friends and partners of the channel, Duck and Cover. Check out the fantastic project range. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, in the link of this description. If you're not and you're listening to it, head on to Google. Just Google Duck and Cover. The project range is fantastic. Myself and Pav will be off to the Rochdale game.
Yep.
Busy one, and then as always building up to the Arsenal game on Monday. But thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll be back again next week with episode 16.